I graduated college and went to work for a major financial firm. And they sent me to New York City for the first time in my life on September 9th of '01. I was excited. I was going to be working in the World Trade Center. That's where the headquarters was for the office, and I was going to be there for 3 weeks. And September 10th, I got on the elevator, prestigious people everywhere. This elevator could probably hold 50 people, and rode up to the 61st floor, where I went throughout the day with financial training, and finished the day and went back to my hotel and realized it was going to be a great trip. The next morning, it was a beautiful day, real clear. I got to the World Trade Center. I was in the second tower, and got on the elevator that morning, rode up to the top, 61st floor. We started our class about 8 o'clock New York time, and about 8:45, 8:50, I don't remember the exact time, we got out for a break. And it was funny because we had all talked about going to the top that day to take photos and just see the lookout, but I'd forgotten my camera. So we didn't. We just milled around in the conference room, and I actually walked to the other side of the tower facing Tower 1. Our conference room was facing the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty, but I was on the other side. I was going to use the phone. And about that time, I was dialing the number to call my local office, is when I heard an explosion. And I immediately looked out the window, didn't really know what it was. It wasn't too loud, but all of a sudden there was paper everywhere, just paper all over the sky. I thought there was a ticker tape parade. And I walked around the corner and looked out at the other building and saw that it was on fire. I didn't know what it was, so I immediately ran back into the conference room where everyone was, and I was sort of frantic, and I remember yelling, "There's been a bomb, there's been an explosion, the other building's on fire," and everybody looked at me like I'd sort of lost my mind. And I ran and got my briefcase and immediately ran to the stairwell. And while on the stairwell, I was really frantic and nervous, but others were starting to walk into the stairwell, and there was a faint alarm going off, and everyone was sort of calm. And I thought, okay, I've been here a day. These people have been here 20 years. Surely I'm a Mississippi boy overreacting. And I remember someone saying, "Did you hear there was a gas explosion in the other tower?" And I heard someone else say, "There was a small commuter plane that hit." So I continued to walk down the stairs and got off on the 42nd floor, where I had to change stairwells, and an announcement came on. And I remember this lady saying, "This is the Port Authority. Can I have your attention, please? Do not evacuate. I repeat, do not evacuate. Building 1 is being evacuated, but Tower 2 is under no imminent danger. Do not evacuate. Please return to your floor." And I remember all these people going back up. And I don't know why I didn't. I've asked myself that many times, but I didn't. I kept going down the stairs. And it was around the 20th floor, somewhere in the 20s, when all of a sudden it happened. There was a loud explosion, and the building shook, and I remember we all just fell to the ground, and the lights were flickering, and you could smell jet fuel, and it was just madness. And this is when the second plane had hit. Of course, I had no idea what was going on. And there were people screaming, and the wall actually split open. I remember picking myself up off the ground, and just it was so surreal. It was almost like time froze. I remember a guy just in the corner shaking. I mean, just couldn't even move. He couldn't even figure out what to do. But there was just this mad train trying to get down the stairwell, and I'll never forget, my biggest fear was not being able to get out. I knew that what had happened from below, and we were going to be trapped. But I finally made it to the bottom, and there was a fireman there motioning everyone to run out, and there were other people laying along along the mall that were bleeding or that had been injured, and they were just telling us to run, just get out. And I ran down the mall area and ran out into this courtyard, and golly, I looked up. And if I could take anything in my life back, it would be that. I saw people jumping. I saw people that had jumped and what was left of them. And so I never looked back. I ran and ran as far as I could. I kept running, and I ran into this lady in the street, and it's funny because she came up to me and she said, "You look like you're lost." And I said, "I am. I'm from Mississippi." And she said, "Well, where's your hotel?" And I told her I was next to Madison Square Garden, and she said, "Well, my apartment's on the way. I just got out of the World Trade Center also. I'll walk with you over there." So we walked, and as we were walking and talking, we still didn't know what had happened. I remember her saying, "You know, right now, I just feel like there are so many people praying for us right now." And golly, I'll never forget her. Her name was Noelle. And so she takes me back to the hotel, and she drops me off, and we exchanged numbers. And I had made two really close friends. We had been in Dallas the week before this New York training, and I'd made two really close friends, Brock and Tiffany. And so I first wanted to just find someone I knew, someone I recognized. And so I ran to Brock's room, and he opened the door, and I just remember us hugging and crying. It was just so good to see a familiar face. And Tiffany, my other friend, she had actually been later getting out of the building and had been in the hospital for a while, so I didn't see her until that night. It wasn't until Wednesday night when we were finally able to evacuate the city. We hired a cab and we left, and we went to New Jersey, and we just wanted to get out. And they had opened the bridges for a short amount of time, and we rented a van and drove to Memphis, where they dropped me off, and then they finished to Albuquerque, where they live. And we've really kept close friends ever since. In the van on the way home, I remember we just had so much time to talk and reflect, and it was almost like I was the calm one. Brock and Tiffany were so frantic, and I was calm, ironically enough. And we started talking about God and just, how we felt about this, and our feelings and our relationship with God. And I remember Brock just sort of becoming real quiet and not talking about it much. I'd say about 2 months after the World Trade Center event, of course I was back home and back working, and I remember one night around midnight my phone rang, and it was Brock, and he seemed upset. And we talked, and he asked a lot of questions, and he wound up accepting the Lord that night. And that was neat. That was a neat night. At least if I can find something worthwhile, if I can find something good, it makes this whole experience a little better for me.